Hey everybody, welcome back. Here with Muse Paint Bar to teach you how to create a very simple sunflower. Here are my materials that I'm working with today. I have an 8x10 canvas panel. My paints are here on a palette for myself. I have black, white, brown, blue, yellow, and orange. Some paper towels to dry off our brushes, something to put some water in for our brushes to clean them. And also I have some other mixing plates to mix up all of my other colors on. I recommend at least 3 brushes for this painting. If you have more than 3, that's great. At least 1 really large flat brush. At least 1 tiny pointy brush for all the small details and drawing. And 1 brush that's somewhere in the middle, a nice medium brush. Okay, first step, we are going to identify how large our sunflower is so we don't paint the entire background with this background blue. I'm going to be taking a nice pointy brush and we're going to be getting into some yellow paint. Just a little bit on your brush, just twirl it in that paint. Now, first thing we're going to do is draw a circle that is in the middle off to the left. You don't want to see the entire circle. You kind of want the left edge of it cut off the side of your canvas. So something around here, I would say about the size of maybe like a grapefruit. It's a pretty big circle. And you can always change the size. So maybe you're like, hey, maybe I want a circle that's a little smaller or a little bigger. You can play with that now. It's okay if the lines are not perfect. Next, we're going to draw our petals. For the petals, you want to think of them as water droplets, how they're pointy at the top and then they're round at the bottom. So the round part is where it's touching the circle and the pointy part is at the end of your petal. So starting on my circle, I'm going to come up and down, just like a little hill. And on the other side, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to go out and up to a point. And I'm going to do that for all of my petals. You can see some petals, you see the entire thing. Others get cut off the edges of your canvas. Once we have our flower drawn out, we're going to go ahead and mix up our background color. So let's take a nice mixing plate and your larger flat brush. I'm going to be mixing up a nice pale blue, nothing like too pastel. I'm going to take a scoop of white and a scoop of blue and mix those up. Now play with this color. You don't have to have the exact same shade or the exact same background color. Maybe you want a green background, maybe you want a pink background. Feel free to get creative. Once you have come up with the color that you like, we're going to go ahead and first start off by tracing the outside of our petals. You can use this brush if you're feeling daring, or you can switch to a smaller brush if you're more comfortable. I like to use just the edge of my brush and take my time and trace it out before I fill the rest in. Perfect. Once we have our flower traced out, you can go ahead and fill in all of those extra spaces outside of those blue lines to get our background complete. All right, looking good. Next step, we're going to be creating the base color for our sunflower petals. So I am going to switch to a medium brush, and we're going to be mixing up a slightly paler yellow than the one that we used to draw out our flower. So I'm going to be taking a scoop of white and a scoop of yellow, and I'm going to mix those up. Now I want this to be a little bit more of a sunset yellow, have a warmer hue to it. I'm going to take a very small touch of orange and add that in. You don't want to add too much or else your yellow will turn orange. Once you have your color mixed up, you can go ahead and fill in your petals. Just be very careful when you reach the edges so that you don't accidentally mix it with that blue paint if it's still wet. All right, looking good. While we let our petals dry, we are going to be adding the base shade for the center of our flower. So for this, we're actually going to be using straight black paint. I'm going to take my medium brush, get it nice and clean, get into some black paint, and fill in that circle. Perfect. Before we do anything else to our painting, we do need to let it dry. If we add anything on top right now, it'll get a little muddy. So give yourself about 10 to 15 minutes and then we'll come back together. All right, we're back. Now that our painting is really dry, we're gonna go ahead and get into the details that are in the petals of our flowers. I'm gonna go ahead and take one of my pointy brushes and we're gonna be mixing up a shadow color. I'm gonna mix this up right on top of this yellow that I have here, no problemo. So I'm going to grab a little bit more yellow, a little bit of orange, a little bit of black, and a little bit of white. We're going to mix those up, maybe a little bit more orange. Do you see that it looks a little bit green? Add more orange so that it becomes a light brown. You want something around here, like light brown sugar. From there, we're going to start off by tracing the outside edges of your petals and stopping about halfway up your petal. For example, here on the first one that I made, I'm stopping there, stopping there. Do the same thing for all of your petals. Then we're going to be adding a bunch of these flicks from the bottom up into the center of our petals. You want to play with the heights. You don't want it to be the exact line over and over and over again. So some will be a little bit longer, some will be a little bit shorter. You play with it. See how I'm curving some of these lines. You want them to curve into the center of your petal. If you do your lines straight, that's totally fine. But if you want to give the illusion that the petal a little bit more rounded and has some shape to it, definitely want to add those curves into these lines. Beautiful. Now we want to add some highlights towards the tips of our petals. I'm going to grab another mixing plate. Boop. And I'm going to be mixing up mostly white with a touch of yellow. I want it to be very, very pale. If it looks similar to the yellow you put down first, add more white paint to this. Now we're going to start on the tip and flick down the sides. And then we're going to flick a couple of lines down to the center, same way we did with the brown color. All right, looking great. Okay, next step, we're going to be getting into the center of our flower. I'm going to be taking still my pointy brush, going to get it nice and clean, and we're going to be working with some straight brown paint. We are going to be basically drawing a brown donut shape into this circle. So I'm leaving myself about a dollar coin worth of black in the middle, and then leaving myself about 1/4 of an inch around the edge. And you can fill this in. I'm not going to fill it in really beautifully. I'm going to have it be a little more sketched out. I'm going to see all the little lines that I make. Maybe I'll mess up some of the edges a little bit. Makes it seem a little bit more organic. Then I'm going to be taking that brown and we're going to be drawing a couple of tick mark lines just along the edge of this black circle. Makes you have a very Van Gogh-esque look to it. Okay, we're almost done. We just have 2 steps left. Our last step for the petals is going to be adding the orange. We're going to be taking a little bit of white with a clean pointy brush and a big scoop of orange and mixing them together. I might even add a little bit of yellow to mine. Depends on what hue of orange you'd like. Perfect. Once you have the orange that you'd like, we are going to start off by drawing a line along the outside edge. If you are worried about this pointy brush being too thick and you have another one that's a little bit thinner, you can use that one. If not, you just want to make sure that you press really lightly on your pointy brush so that when you draw in these orange lines, they don't fully cover up these brown ones. I think I'm going to make my orange a little bit darker. There we go. Then I'm going to take a little bit of this orange, and towards the center of these petals, I'm going to flick a couple lines of this in, just like we did with our brown and pale yellow. Just near the base of the petals. Last step, we're going to be adding a little bit of orange in the center of our flower here in the circle. So the same orange, you could even lighten it up with a touch of white just to make sure that when you lay it on, it shows up nice and bright. I'm just going to add a couple of highlights, a couple little tick marks within that donut shape. I have a little cluster over here. I might have a couple pieces that are just chilling on the outskirts, doing their own thing. And that's it. We have created our very simple sunflower. Once you are done, make sure to sign your paintings. Most people sign them in the bottom corner, but you're more than welcome to sign them wherever you wish. Of course, we would love to see how your paintings turned out. You can post them in the comments below or post them on social media and tag us at Muse Paint Bar. If you enjoyed this tutorial, feel free to like and subscribe to our channel to see more, and we'll see you guys again next time.